Hello, and thank you for joining me for How to Study the Bible in Greek Without Knowing Greek. First, let's talk a little bit about the languages the Bible was written in. The Old Testament was written in Hebrew. You can see an example of Hebrew script here. Much different than English, obviously. This Old Testament was translated from Hebrew into Koine Greek between the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC. This translation of the Old Testament is referred to as the Septuagint LXX, or meaning in Roman numeral 70. The New Testament was actually written into Greek originally, into Koine Greek, and basically all of it, however, some of it was written in Aramaic originally, and then translated into Greek. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at this is a language tree, just showing how languages changed from one language to another and how they branched off. So for reference, Greek is right here, English is here. So here we have English, French, English, German, Dutch, these type of languages here. Here we have the Romance languages, French, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish. This branch we have Russian and the Eastern European languages, the Slavic languages. So as you can see, Greek stems off from the base of this node where these three major branches come off. So there's many similarities, for instance, of English to Greek, as far as a lot of English root words come from Greek. This Slavic branch, the cases, the grammar is extremely similar to Greek. And the Romance language branch, these languages have similar verb conjugations. And so each one of these major branches have a lot of similarities to Greek. Greek is a very specific language and very precise as far as the grammar goes, very similar to the Slavic languages. So in order to understand the goals of this class, first of all, the goal is to learn to pronounce Greek words and understand basic Greek grammar. So modern Greek is not the same as ancient Greek. You're going to learn the ancient Greek, so the pronunciation is not the same. And ancient Greek, not everybody agrees on how it's pronounced, but we're going to focus mainly on the Erasmus pronunciation of Greek. The next goal is to learn how to use online ancient Greek tools to experience the New Testament in a whole new way. Third is to answer the question, are all translations of the Bible equal in quality? And fourth is this is a goal beyond the class, but using the tools learned in this class, the goal is to ensure sound doctrine and to gain a deeper understanding of the God we love and serve. The first lesson goals. So today the goal is to learn the Greek alphabet, learn the Greek letter sounds, and be able to read basic words. Now I know that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. However, Greek is fairly easy to read. If you know the Greek letter and the sound associated with it, then reading it is fairly basic. So the alphabet starts at alpha and ends in omega, as is demonstrated in the common Bible verse, Revelation 22:13. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. So of course this is referring to Jesus. Now in Greek, that same Bible verse is written here. Ego ta alpha kai ta omega, ha protos kai ha eschatos, ei arche kai to telos. So you can see there's similarities in the Greek language and the English language. For instance, ego Ego is very similar to ego. Ego, and it's translated I. Alpha, omega, protas. Protas, think of prototype. Prototype is the first object that is produced in production. Protas is the first. Protas. Eschatos, eschatology, the study of end times or last days, is translated last. Arche, arche, think of archaeology, study of the beginnings. Telos, telos is like a telescope, to be able to see to things far away or to the end. Telos. So there are many connections between English and Greek. Here's the whole Greek alphabet. We have alpha. Now, same as in English, there's a capital and lowercase. So the uppercase is exactly the same as in English. Alpha and lowercase alpha. Beta, same as our English letter B, lowercase beta. Gamma, uppercase G, lowercase gamma. And the sound is G. So alpha says A, beta B, gamma G, delta D, as in the English D, delta. This E is epsilon, epsilon, Z, zeta. Notice it's not the last letter of the alphabet in Greek. Zeta, this is the uppercase and lowercase. Uppercase eta, lowercase eta. Notice H, we call it an A, H. So H, the word H comes from the Greek eta for H. Eta, uppercase eta, lowercase eta. Theta, uppercase theta, lowercase theta. Iota, this is the uppercase iota and lowercase iota. Kappa, uppercase, lowercase kappa. Lambda, uppercase lambda, lowercase lambda. Mu, uppercase mu, lowercase mu. Now, if you took maybe a physics class, that you might have heard it pronounced mu. However, the proper pronunciation is moo, as in the cow mooing. Moo. This is new, the capital new, lowercase nu. And this makes the N sound, n, moo. This is xi, xi. The capital xi and lowercase xi. Omicron, omicron. Capital O, omicron, lowercase omicron. Now notice the sound is ah, omicron. Omega has the long O, omega. Omicron has the short O sound, ah, omicron. P. Now you're probably used to this in math classes being pronounced pi. However, technically it's called P. P, capital P, lowercase p. Now this might be a little confusing. This is an rho. Notice P has a P sound. Rho has a R, an R sound. So if you can't roll your R's, you can just you can pronounce it as an R. But try to roll it. R, rho. And the guttural RH. Rho. Next letter is sigma. Sigma. This is a capital sigma. And we actually have two lowercase sigmas. Now this is the only letter that has two lowercase letters like this. However, this sigma is only used if this letter is the last letter of the word. If it's in the middle or the beginning, use this sigma. However, if it's the last letter of the word, use this sigma. Next letter is tau. Tau is a T sound. Tau. Next letter is upsilon. Upsilon. So it looks like the English letter Y, but it has an oo sound. Upsilon. Next letter is phi. Phi. This is the uppercase and lowercase phi. Next letter is ki. Ki. Kind of a guttural sound from the back of your throat. Ki. So we have the uppercase and lowercase ki. Next is psi. Psi. In English, oftentimes people will say psi. Technically, it's psi. You have an uppercase psi, lowercase psi. And the sound it makes is ps, ps, kind of like a PS sound. As we talked about earlier, this is omega. Omega has the long O sound. O, omega. And that is all of the Greek alphabet. Let's go a little bit more in depth with each letter. First, let's start with alpha. This is how we spell alpha in Greek letters. Let's go ahead and sound it out. A, L, F, A. Alpha. Alpha. This is the English phonetic spelling for the word alpha. Alpha, lambda, phi, alpha. Alpha, alpha. Notice we have this mark here. This is actually a stress mark. We add stress to this syllable. Whichever syllable that has the mark above it is the syllable with stress. So we say alpha. We put the stress in the first syllable. Alpha. The next letter is beta. Again, the stress is the first syllable. Beta. Beta. Now, there's current modern day Greeks pronounce this as a V sound. They actually say beta instead of beta. But for ancient Greek, we pronounce it beta. Beta. Next, gamma. G-am-ma. Gamma. First syllable is stressed. Gamma. Gamma, alpha, mu, alpha. G-a-m-m-a. Gamma. Delta. D-L-T-A. Delta. D-L-T-A. Delta. Delta, epsilon, lambda, tau, alpha. Delta. Epsilon. 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 The stress is the first syllable again. Epsilon. Epsilon, psi, iota, lambda, omicron, mu. Epsilon. Zeta. Z-A-T-A. Zeta. Zeta, eta, tau, alpha. Zeta. Z-A-T-A. Zeta. Eta. Eta, tau, alpha. A-T-A. Eta. theta, theta, a, theta, theta, yo, pronouncing the iota and the omega together, it almost has a Y sound. Yo, yo. If you say it fast enough, it sounds like a Y. Iota, iota, iota. Kappa, ah, kappa, kappa. Lambda, la, m, da, lambda, lambda. Mu, u, mu, upsilon, mu, nu, n, u, mu, upsilon, u, nu, xi, xi, omicron, omicron, a, m, i, c, r, on, omicron, omega, mu, iota, kappa, rho, omicron, mu, omicron, p, p, epsilon, iota, p, rho, rho, omega, rho, sigma, iota, gamma, mu, alpha, sigma, sigma, tau, 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 upsilon, u, i, la, n, upsilon, upsilon. Stresses that first syllable. Upsilon, 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 psi, iota, lambda, omicron, mu, upsilon, phi, e, phi, iota, phi, chi, chi. It's going to be a little difficult to pronounce because it is a guttural sound. Try and kind of use the back of your throat. Chi, chi, psi, 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 epsilon, iota, omega, o, m, e, g, a, omega. Stresses on the second syllable. Omega, 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 mu, epsilon, gamma, alpha, omega, omega. Go ahead and take a few moments. You can pause the video and practice naming the letters of each of these Greek alphabet letters. Next, let's talk about diphthongs. A diphthong is when two vowels are put right next to each other, and those two letters make a new sound. So instead of this alpha saying a and this iota saying e, together they make the sound I as in aisle. Alpha, iota together make I as in aisle. Alpha, upsilon together make owl, the owl sound as in kraut. Alpha, upsilon, owl, owl. Epsilon, iota together makes the sound A as in freight. A, freight. Epsilon, upsilon together make the sound U as in feud. Epsilon, upsilon, U, feud. Omicron, iota together make an oi sound like oil. Omicron, iota, oi. Omicron, upsilon together says ooh, as in soup. Ooh. Upsilon, iota together have a e, like sweet, we sound. So these are called diphthongs when two vowels together make a new sound. However, there is an exception to this rule, and that's when there's two dots above one of the vowels. This is called a diaeresis mark. This diaeresis mark means to pronounce each letter individually, not as a diphthong. So without these two dots, this would be pronounced kind. However, with the two diaeresis marks, it would be pronounced ka-yin, ka-yin, where the is pronounced individually to the e, ka-yin. Notice the stress is on the first syllable, ka-yin. Next, let's talk about breathing marks. So there's what's called a rough breathing mark, and it's a backwards apostrophe. So if you see a backwards apostrophe, there's actually an H sound. It's kind of an invisible H in front of this word. So that's if it's a backwards apostrophe. If it's a forward apostrophe, basically there's no change in sound. It's called a smooth breathing mark. So let's go ahead and practice these. These are some examples of words with rough breathing marks, where we basically add an H to the beginning of the word. So this is hamartia, hamartia. Notice that stress is on the final syllable. So this indicates the sound, but yet the stress is on the final syllable. Hamartia, hamartia. Next is, and well, hamartia means sin. Next example is hepta, hepta. Sorry, the stress needs to be on the final syllable. Hepta, hepta, which means seven. Next is emera, emera. Notice the stress is on the second syllable. Emera, emera, which means day. Next, hadas, hadas, hadas. Stresses that second syllable. Hadas, hadas. Pudor, pudor, meaning water. Next, Hosanna, Hosanna. Stress that third syllable. Hosanna, na. Hosanna. Hosanna, meaning Hosanna. Last word, rema, rema. Now this, with it being on the ro, that H, you can't really hear the H. It's basically just rema, rema. We're not going to go in too much depth to the accents, but just so you're aware, there's three types of accents: acute, which looks like this; grave, like this; and circumflex. This is a little beyond, this is going deeper than what we're going to cover in this class. So basically, if we see an accent, we're just going to give it more stress. We're not going to go into the fine differences between these accents. So here are just some words, some Greek biblical names, and just for your practice, try to figure out what these words are in English. So they're very similar to the English word. So go ahead and take a moment and see, go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure out what this word could be in English. Ne, an, z, a, r, e, Nazareth, 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 Nazareth. Next word. Again, go ahead and try and figure out what this word is in English. A, b, r, a, Abraham, 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 meaning Abraham. Petras, Petras, et, r, as. Now you can see this is the other lowercase sigma. Petras, Petras, meaning Peter. Now this can be a little difficult, this pronunciation. We have an iota and an eta. Yay, yay, Jesus, 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 with the first syllable stressed. Jesus, meaning Jesus. Jesus. Actually, Jesus, pronounce that. We have that stress on the second syllable. Jesus, Jesus. Mariam, M-A-R-I-A-M, Mariam, Mariam, meaning Mary or Miriam. So Jesus' mother Mary, in Greek, the word is Meriam, Meriam. Next word, Elizabeth, 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 in Elizabeth. Next word, Gethsemane, Gethsemane, Gethsemane. Put stress on that last syllable. Gethsemane, Gethsemane. Zacharias, 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 meaning Zechariah, not Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus is Zacchaeus, Zacchaeus. Zacharias is Zechariah. So go ahead, now that we've practiced a little bit with the sounds of each letter, go ahead and try writing your name in using the Greek alphabet phonetically. So use the Greek alphabet and write what your name would be in Greek. Go ahead and pause the video so you can take a few moments to do this. Next, let's talk about punctuation. So the earliest New Testament manuscripts do not have any punctuation or accents. Actually, all the letters were written in capital letters. So these were added later as far as punctuation and adding lowercase letters. So back to our alphabet, Alpha to Omega, Revelation 22:13. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. Let's go ahead and try to read this together for practice reading Greek. Ego ta alpha kai ta omega ha protas kai ha aspetas he arche kai ta tela. Let's go ahead and read it again. Ego ta alpha kai ta omega ha protas kai ha eschatas he arche kai ta tela. All right, very good. Let's go ahead and go over a few more words. These are a few more words for more reading practice, and these are your vocabulary words. So try to memorize these and practice reading these over and over again a few times. The first word is Messias. Messias, which is Messiah. Messias. Messias. Next word is Abba. Abba. Abba, meaning father. Next word is agape. 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 Agape, which is one of the words that we translate as love in English. Next word, be careful of this rough breathing mark, so we add a sound to the beginning. Hamartia. Hamartia, meaning sin. Hamartia. The next word is baptizo. 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 Baptizo, meaning to baptize. The next word we've gone over before. Jesus. Jesus. Jesus, meaning Jesus. The next word, ecclesia. Ecclesia. Actually, the pronunciation, make sure to put the emphasis on the final syllable. Ecclesia. 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 The final word is philos. 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 Okay, so your homework for next week is be able to identify both the upper and lower case Greek letters by name and sound. Practice reading basic Greek biblical terms. And your bonus is to memorize these Greek biblical terms. So thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you next week.